let's see whether that's going to pay off.
I'm not sure though. For me, there's nothing like over the board competition. You can play online all you want. The tactile feel pieces, look at the opponent across the board. That counts for a lot, and I don't think you can imitate it. I was about to say Tarrasch, and this was an old favorite of Garry when he was playing the candidates.
He's accepting the pawn.
Yes, but knight f6 to my mind is a little bit off the beaten track. Everybody plays knight c6 in that position.
But I have to tell you, Yasser, the Grischuk definitely knows what he's doing.
Exactly, he's not just blundering a second pawn and saying, okay, he's ready for, but he's asking himself, should I go swallow the bait, go queen takes b7, and after knight c6, then what do I do? Or do I do something a little bit more common and retreat my queen to b3, not grabbing the second pawn? Gary's taking some time, and again, this position cannot be. He's on terra firma, I would say, on firm earth.
Absolutely.
And here's the difference. Why did we see knight c6? Queen b3. Well, this queen is very nice on the b3 square, but that was the whole purpose. Let's do this turn.
Now there's a big question. Where are you?
That is a big question.
But if I just that that rook might land on c8, then you might have some difficulties on the c5. You go to d1. That looks like a very passive square, but might be the square that's out of danger the most out of all of them. And this is exactly what he's choosing.
Right. But how do I put this? In rapid chess, having the initiative, sacrificing material for the attack, usually is a very good strategy. Blitz, it's even a better strategy. And in this pawn sacrifice, it's not what Garry wanted. He's not the player who grabs the material and hangs on, unfortunately style. No. He's Garry Kasparov. He's much happier playing the black position than the white position. From the opening, advantage Grischuk, even though Grischuk is on. Down at the moment, he certainly sees the position.
No, absolutely. And I do have to say that I think practically at least this was not the right decision, as you mentioned by Garry. I think once you see this c5 and c takes d4, just don't take the pawn. Don't go queen takes d4, just go queen takes d4. Make that decision against the isolated pawn.
Exactly.
And just have this slowly. It's very important because look, right now we're looking at the clock. Garry has 3 minutes and 32 seconds. Alex has 30 seconds. That's a huge time differential already in a difficult defensive position. This is not what you want to see.
Not Garry Kasparov before with the straightforward that they take some three bishop to breaking pin to the king. And also, from Gary's point of view, big time threat of making d4 with these. So here, it's queen a5, I believe, is the most sensible looking move to my eyes. Queen a5 defends the bishop, first of all, on d4, and it also reinforces threats that black is trying to create against the knight on c3.
Also, knight takes c2 is an option, and if you take with the knight and I want to play bishop to c6, basically what I'm trying to do with that is stop you from castle. If you manage to castle with white, then you're completely out of danger. You're going to nurse that pawn advantage for the rest of the game. But if you don't manage to castle, this is the key in this position. Knight takes d2, I think. Knight takes d2 and then bishop to c6. Let's see what you do.
But knight d2, bishop c6, bishop d2, c3. Okay,
That's an interesting decision.
I was going to say that you could be welcome to capture on g7. And by the way, captures on c3 occur.
And I have to say, I think this is good news for white. And I'm starting to like Garry's fusion, because the best you will be able to get with black pieces is recover that on the c3. You're not going to be able to get any sort of dynamic play and catch me with the king in the center anymore, because you don't have enough pieces. You exchange two pairs of pieces, that's huge, right? This dynamic position. So we see queen d4, that defense, the pawn I'm expecting to c7, continuing that harassment of the pawn on c3, queen to c5.
Similar move to what you were suggesting, Christian. The difference is that maybe with the queen on c7, it would be awkward for you to exit the stage, right, with your king. So
and also with the queen on c7, you would be able to go to c1. With the queen on c5, you cannot.
Now, bishop to d3, Garry is close to completing his development, and he has to do it at the cost of returning the pawn. And after king d2, I think black is very, very satisfied with the outcome of the opening. Rook c7, king d8. I think that black could say, yeah, I've pretty much equalized the control.
I do believe he equalized. Nevertheless, I would say both players can be happy with the outcome, because Garry was under a little bit of pressure. Obviously, Alexander was within his preparation, and also with such a limited time on the clock, you want a simpler position. And this is what we're getting.
By the way, what is the times of the clocks of the players? A little bit, well, I am surprised by 94. I really expected this. The problem from White's point of view is this rook on a1 is passive. I was really expecting to move a3 in order to release the rook for active duty. a3, rook c1, rook c7. I thought was on White's agenda. After the move 94, however, king e7, it's black who might be the first player to grab the c file. And usually in such positions, possession of the open c file.
d4 on the board.
Advantage. a4. Whoa. That's a big time.
It is.
Because it basically says you've got a target for life over here on the queen side now after a4. And look at Garry go f3.
He's trying to control that knight via f3 and then e4. And then put that king on e3, defend the knight on d4. That's a nice construction that Garry is preparing right now. You cannot take yet, at least, on a4, because if you take with the bishop, I'm going to double up on the a file, rook to a3, you're going to have to move the bishop back, then I'm going to regain that pawn, and the pawn on a7 will be a weakness. But if you take with the rook, the same. I would take rook to a3, same thing. Let's see what happened. We're seeing f3. Now, he has to find a place for that knight. He played 98.
I'm not a fan of Garry's play here. I think it's awkward and it feels wrong. It just, pawn on e4 to my mind is too big a target. Move knight f6, like you said, pawn on f3 rather controls the knight. The knight could have come to d5 where it doesn't do anything. Sasha's thinking to himself, where do I want to go with the knight? What plan has he envisioned? He's planning to put his knight on d6 and follow it up with knight c4 check, but his knight would be much more effective. Rook b4, okay, defending his pawn. Again, that pawn sitting on the dark square makes more sense to me. Feels like, well, I don't know if it's too harsh to say advantage black, but I feel that after knight d6, it actually is easier to play black. I don't know, should I be playing the move f7, f5 to gain a little space in the center on the king side? Two very attractive choices in my mind, f5 or knight d6.
Right now, I believe White's idea is to go knight to b3. You play the rook to b4, rook to b4, and then you want to remove that rook from a5. This is key. You want to go knight b2, a5.
Get the rook from a5, get knight b3. Probably the rook has to go somewhere.
And that's why
special.
I didn't want to play f5 as black, just because it was cutting the action.
You want to keep the fifth rank open to get more squares for your king. Makes sense.
Also, a quick update: we have Korobov versus Van Forest, which has finished in Korobov's decisive victory.
Favor for Anton. Well, I mean, chess can be like that. You go from this extraordinary thrill, this great high. You just beat Garry Kasparov. I mean, what else can you say? You know, like you're just feeling just great with yourself. The very next moment, you just lost to Anton. It's sort of like, crash to earth. H5.
Maybe
Now
we can
that-
follow on the live board right now.
Here we go. Again, I just ask you, Christian, apologies. The clock times.
Right now, it's actually Garry with 52 seconds and 29 seconds for Alexander.
And Garry, as you said, setting up that very nice construction with pawns on e4 and f3, followed by his king being on e3. But this is the move f7, f5. Somehow I had expected that move earlier than when it came, and now it's 3 pawns to 3 pawns, a lot of material getting vacuumed off the board.
Bishop to d4. Going to see rook e5, rook e4.
Bishop is going to be very well positioned on e4. King f2. You see, Garry was reaching for his bishop, playing king f2. That, for me, is a telltale sign that he's not informed yet.
Well, Vishwanathan Anand, we have an update. Has won his game against the young Christoph.
Congratulations to Fishy.
I think this is going to slowly be the race.
Just in time to cover.
What?
No, you can't offer a draw.
You cannot offer a draw,
So they were about to say, I'd like to offer a draw.
They found the repetition.
They found a repetition. Shaky game, Christian. What other games are currently going on?
It's all over. It seems like no, we do have the